Nous avons la chance et l'honneur d'avoir le chef d'état-major de l'armée de terre française, ainsi que son homologue de l'armée belge et l'équivalent du major général de l'armée des Pays-Bas. Nous allons prendre place pour une table ronde. Nous commencerons par quelques questions et nous veillerons à bien garder le temps nécessaire pour un temps de questions-réponses en fin de séquence. Écoutez, général, je vous invite à me rejoindre sur scène. Je vous invite à vous asseoir. Nous allons projeter le nom des intervenants à l'écran. Et dans le meilleur des cas, je n'aurai pas besoin de vous faire vous relever. Ah si, désolé. Est-ce que vous pouvez intervertir vos sièges? Nous sommes assez pointilleux sur la chose, mais ça facilite la lecture. Comme ça, vous aurez votre nom au-dessus de vous. Allez. If it's possible to sit over there. So, let's jump into it. Can I ask you, from your perspective, what is your appreciation of the international situation?
So my assessment is clearly, and it is more and more clear, that we are at a moment where there is a huge and a very, a very huge change in the situation. It is obvious that the change is about the strategic situation, but there is in addition a question about the values, including the fact that our, I would say, international law system built after the Second World War is attacked at this moment by some countries and states who are pretending to have another system. But the change is also because of some kind of a technological revolution that is taking place under our eyes. It is the one of the digital information revolution, and as it was during the First World War, that means during the 5 years of the First World War, because of this war, industrial war, the industrial revolution at this time about electricity, petrol, cars, planes, dramatically changed the way of living of the societies, and so the way of fighting. So we are at a time that is of the same, that could have the same impact. That means, is it a change for the 30 next years, as the change has been at the end of the Warsaw Pact in the 1990s? Is it a change that will be for 50 or 60 years as a change, the equivalent of the end of the Second World War, or is it even bigger? This is the question. But we are at a moment when there is a very strong and important change. What are the elements of the next time coming? It's very difficult to see. We need to look at the current fights, current situation, in order to find the rules that will be the one of the new world. What is obvious, maybe, that the question of strength is coming back as a base of the relations between the states, when we tried on the last decades to settle the relations around the right and the negotiation. It is a question also, and that will be my only point, I would say, of support of the people. So we are coming back in a time when, you know the words, the army are winning the battles, but the people are winning the war. So we thought, roughly, during the last decades, that we would be able to have some soldiers or armies taking into account the crisis and so on. And we are discovering that in this new world, the effects of the technology are going very deep in the societies, changing the societies and so on, that are implying more than before the peoples because of the threat and the question of cyber information threatening the back and not only the front line, but also the fact that the at the end, it may be all the forces, all the smartness of the people that may be, all the young people that may be involved in order to win when you are attacked, in order to defend yourself or to defend your model or to defend your sovereignty. And that may be a question now for our people, that is the European one. So a lot of questions. We're at a moment where there is a huge, very important change.
We have this point in mind. Thank you for that. General, can I ask you the same question?
Yes, of course. So General Schill is not responsible for my appreciation, but I totally agree with him, for sure. I think we are experiencing an historical moment since the end of the Second World War. And I would like to refer to Mr. Hubert Védrine, with all my respect. He stated that Europe is like a teddy bear in Jurassic Park. And this is pretty okay, pretty correct. So it's a wake-up call for us. And I think that we have to make sure that we will be prepared, because we are not able to guarantee our security for the time being. And we have to make huge progress in that domain in order to be prepared, to make sure that we are able to do that, to guarantee our security without any other external country, external Europe. Why? This is maybe the worst case. Maybe we will get some help, but we are not sure about it. We are not sure. So be prepared for the worst case. That's it.
Thank you very much. And can I ask you the same question? Your appreciation of the international situation.
Yeah, and I have 5 minutes, huh?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, let me start. I wear this uniform now for 42 years. And when you are in the military for such a long time, you look back and you try to remember certain elements in history of your career. And I go back, when I just left the military academy, I was a lieutenant, and I participated in the last Reforger exercise in 1988. And in 1989, the wall came down, and the warship park stopped working. Exactly. I think that was the first thing that I remember from my military career. The second thing is that when I was a student in Fort Leavenworth during the 11 September attacks, and in the beginning of this year, I addressed my staff in Utrecht, and I said, I don't know for sure, but it might very much be that 2025 might be a year with the same impact as those two events. And I think we are right in the middle of it. The situation changes every day. And my concern is that although you talk about a wake-up call, I don't think that everybody is awakened already. But we are in a, well, what some historians call a paradigm change. I would not call it a paradigm change, but changes are occurring so quickly that the one thing that we should do from the military side is keep our heads cool, don't run on emotions, and do what we are thinking of and thinking in contingencies. That is my assessment of the strategic situation.
Okay, thank you for that. So maybe not everyone is awake, but you are, so you can give us maybe what solutions you have in mind to address these issues.
Yes, my answer will be about the solutions from a military perspective, of course, and the army force perspective of France. That means I think that the solution is first a question of the policy of my country. What is the policy of my country? What it has been for long now, the question of the or what it is called équilibre. So that means the question, the balance between sovereignty and the ability to wait. That means peser. I did the right translation.
Don't ask me. Maybe your name.
To balance, to wait. So sovereignty and wait, in order to be able to have an action above our destiny. Yes. So this is the rule of the French armed forces to have the ability to settle and support sovereignty, including the nuclear deterrence, but also the assessment of the situation, sovereign assessment of the situation, the ability to at least act, and mainly on the mainland or in the overseas territories by our own, but on the other side to be a framework nation. That means to be able to have the credibility, and in order to be able to create or initiate or feed some coalitions, in order to be able to avoid that the worst case arrives. And you know the words of my shot, that is, the rule of the armies are to win the war before the war. That means it is quite the same as civis pacem parabellum. That means if you want peace, you must prepare war. That means our role is not to go at fight. It's not to make war. It's to avoid it in order to be credible enough, to have determination, to have the ability to be feared by the enemy, to deter, and the ability to have to make our allies confident enough in order to be able together to have some solutions in order to wait on the situation of our continent, in order to provide security, in order to support this this set of rules and right that we are relying on, and that must, in our opinion, I think as European, must be the way in order to settle the relations between the states, rather than being under the pressure of the empires and of the strengths. So we must be, because of the situation, we must be strong. We must be strong by ourselves, but we must be strong and credible as a coalition. And so I'm really sure that this is the solution we should have now. And I need, as French armed forces, ground forces, to be able to support this idea of the need for European countries to be able to wait on their future in order to avoid to be under the control or the threat of some empires, of some extra forces. And I'm sure that the Russian forces will be threatening the eastern border of Europe for decades and will not disappear next year, even if there is a ceasefire in Ukraine.
And about this confidence needed between allies, is it just an idea or a reality?
Yes, of course. I described it as an idea, but it is a reality. It has been a reality for long. NATO is a way to create coalition through, it is a coalition, to create interoperability through the knowledge, mutual knowledge between the leaders or the soldiers, by having some process, but also by having some interoperable equipment or procedures. And so this is a way in order to create this kind of alliance or proximity between allies. But we are here seated, the two of us, with my friend Jean-Pol, who is heading the land forces of Belgium, and we are linked with a very, very strong project that is called CAMO. That means we are buying the same equipment, but behind the equipment we are organizing the same way, our two armies. We are using the same procedures. We are having the same training for our staff members, but also soldiers. And this gives us the ability to propose to our government to make something together, as we are doing now in Romania, where we are deployed. We have been deployed together for the last 3 years, and with the ability to expand this cooperation to others. And we have been deployed here in Romania with the Dutch units also. And so it is not an exclusive link, but it may be the heart or the bulk of a very special military relations, allowing political relations, allowing some kind of a larger coalition.
This camo capacité motorisée you just mentioned, maybe it's the same thing you have in mind, General, as part of solutions you have to put in motion. Is there something else you have in mind?
I strongly believe in
Yeah.
camo, because camo is far much more than the same equipment. I think that we have to go further than the same equipment standardization. We have to train on the same way. We have to educate our young officers, on young NCOs on the same way. We have to streamline also our artillery, infantry, engineer schools, and so on. And for sure to apply the same doctrine, so the same tactics on the field. So interoperability is far much more than communication and information system. Okay? Communication and information system or same equipment is only a small part of interoperability. And so standardization in other lines of development like education, doctrine, training, and so on is key, is critical, is essential for more European autonomy. And the second part of European autonomy consists of defense industry. We have more than 10 several different types of tanks. We have more than 6-7 types of attack submarines, 6 or 7 fighters, aircraft. I don't think it's still affordable in the future. We have to better coordinate, we have to better consolidate, we have to better standardize. I take another example, NH-90 helicopter. There is 26 different versions of this helicopter. This is not affordable. This is not affordable, and it is also not readable, because a NH-90 flight hour costs more than an F-16 flight hour. Can you imagine? This is not affordable for the future. So we have to coordinate and to consolidate that. And even more, I think it's key to have a growth potential of our industry. Regarding artillery, for example, how many shells are used in Ukraine on a daily basis? This is what we are just not able to produce in Europe. So we need, I think, such a kind of cocooned factories, okay, ready to produce in case of. And I see that at European level, not at a specific country level, at European level. To build such a cocoon factory, you don't use this factory on peacetime, but this factory is ready in case of, based on European funding, because it costs a lot of money. It's not really just in time and affordable from a national point of view.
The industrial aspect of the thing, is that something you have in mind also, or do you see something else?
No, I reckon you asked me if I have a solution on your first question.
Yep.
And if I would have the solution, I probably would not be sitting here.
It's a shame.
That's the first thing. In addition to what General Schill and General Baugnée said, let me view that. Well, let me explain it from the Dutch side.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Please.
And if you have a solution, then you have to define the problem first. And I think the problem is already pretty clear what we have.
And what would be the problem in a few words? If you
the problem is that we face several challenges, military security challenges, which are now being posed and occurring in a fast tempo. That's why I just said we have to keep our head cool, not react on emotion, and not on every incident every morning when I open the news and President Trump is announcing something. That's one thing. But coming back to what I would like to say is that, and also referring to the mentioning of General Schill on the use of technology, I think that we can all agree that if we want to build a credible force, then we should be able to apply lethal effects in an MDO setting, a multi-domain setting, using all the domains, including cyber, etc. And that not only starts with the moment that hostilities start, but it starts already in a phase 0, in a gray zone. We should be able to operate in that gray zone, keeping in mind that we are a democracy and we have an ethos in democracy and holding separate laws like privacy. So we have to make a way through that. The second thing is that I honestly believe that you win wars by applying MDO effects, but you lose wars by insufficient combat power on the ground. And from an army perspective, we tackle this problem in 3 operational lines. First of all, our main effort at the moment goes in repairing and restoring what has been neglected the last year. And that's most likely, and moreover, combat support and combat service support to be more sustainable and not to fight 3 days, but to fight 3 weeks or 3 years. The second thing is that being a NATO country, relying on the alliance for our security, we very much look at what is NATO asking us within their capability requirements and also the priority targets. So implying the priority targets, what NATO is asking us is the second line. And the third line, and that's maybe the most important one, is that with 42 years of service, I always wonder why we are talking about capability gaps that we have to cover. I think we should make a better effort in creating capability gaps to the opponent. And that's the third line, and that is thinking how to fight smarter. So if you have a basis of priority targets and capability codes from NATO, you also have to start, okay, this might be very conventional, but how can we fight smarter using new technology or using new techniques in actually seeking the asymmetrical advantage, which creates a capability gap on the opponent's side. Because we military, and I know that we are very conservative when we look at capabilities. We really are looking on what we had in the past, and we like to have that as well in the future. And sometimes for a basis that is very good, but we should also focus on quick innovation, learn how the Ukrainians are doing actually the innovation within the SEMA arena and the drone arena, and just apply that as well. Mm-hmm. So that's my little solution for this.
Thank you for that. Maybe one last word before taking questions from over there. General, do you have something in mind just before we take the first question? You have something in mind.
We can take the question, but it's very important that one of the words has been said about offensive. We are a defensive alliance, NATO, and perhaps it is a weakness we have because we are waiting for the initiative coming from the enemy or the adversary. So this is a question when it is on the physical domain, that means number of tanks, planes, aircraft and so on. But there is a question, we are also very often a defensive coalition when it comes to the question of information about the message we send. perhaps as democracies we should be more offensive in order to try to disrupt before the war the layout of the autocracy in front of us.